I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad to have you relate, if you would be so kind, why you needed what PERQUE provided and what it did for you.
I'm very happy to do that. Should I start now?
Yes, yes, please.
The fact is that I was, for several years up until about not 2012, I was having problems where my hands, I'd get bruises on my hands, my forearms, etc., very, very easily. I'm now 80 years old, by the way. And so this was
80
my
years young.
80 years young. And this was my late 60s and 70s. And I was having very thin skin on my hands, that I was bruising very easily. The skin was tearing, etc. This became more than evident on a trip in 2012 that I took to Cuba, where almost every time I turned around, if I touched something, my skin would break open and I started bleeding, or would be, and I was busy putting different band-aids all over my hands and my forearms at that time. When I got back, I related my episode and my history of that to you, and you suggested I start taking both repair guard and joint guard uh, in various dosages. That would be two repair guard, four repair guard in the morning, four repair guard at night, two joint guard in the morning, two joint guard at night. And so I did this. And after about 3 months, my hands were and my forearms were just fine again. And to this day, I've been maintaining a regime. I've cut down the amount that I'm taking.
You
And, I'm,
needed to repair before you could maintain, which is what you're now saying to us.
and that's true. And exactly. And so I've had no problem since that time. And I just have a moderate maintenance of what I'm taking, both repair guard and the joint guard. And those are the two specific items I'm talking about that actually took care of that problem of my bruising and the delicate skin that kept breaking open, etc., which was really becoming very problematical because I traveled a lot, whether to London, Cuba, France, Germany. I've always traveled a bit. And so that was very helpful.
And
And it worked.
if I remember correctly, you have usually and mostly eaten well of whole foods. You don't indulge in a lot of highly processed, ultra processed foods. You
Never
don't,
have.
never. And still in the 21st century, there are challenges.
Of course there are. And they come with age. They come with the environment we live in. They come with being assaulted every time I eat out at a restaurant. I usually come back feeling not so well. That's why I prefer to go to the Marin County Farmers Market, which is where we get most everything. And I know most of the vendors. I go to the ranches, I go to the places, I see where they come from. And all my life, even when I was a child back in the 1940s and 50s, the fact is that we had our own gardens, we grew our own stuff. My mother did not believe in pesticides or things of that sort. And we had an uncle who fished and we ate lots of fresh fish. And I had another uncle who had a ranch. And so whatever beef or other things that we ate were non-chemical
Right.
and healthy.
Very important for people to understand you are better than most, but still you needed additional repair for blood vessels to not blotch, to not, when you touch something, it shouldn't
Or
cause,
they shouldn't break. Yeah.
they shouldn't. And this is something we have specialized in, which is repair of the infrastructure of the body, the connective tissue infrastructure of the body, collagen, elastin, etc.
Well, I can't help but reflect.
Mm.
If these are the effects on the external epidermis, I'm also wondering what nice effect they might have on my internal organs because I'm in otherwise pretty good health.
No, no, very important. As above, so below, what you see on the surface of your skin is a reflection of your immune defense and repair system's function. So when you bruise easily, it's not just the skin, it's the whole body, the whole infrastructure of the body, without which we would actually collapse. And many people have autoimmunity, which means immune defense and repair system harm, because they don't know how to properly repair themselves.
Well, I will add too that I've also taken up a few others of your supplements, which I do take. MitoGuard,
Mhm.
the Life Guard, and some others, a multivitamin, some other things, just to catch up any loose ends they might be missing otherwise. Because it's a pretty,
That's a very important point. We should have enough of what's essential that we can't make ourselves, that we have to take in from the outside world. And it turns out if you have a little more than you need, that's okay. But if you have less than you need, trouble, trouble.
it's not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah.
And this 21st century is extremely toxic, as you indicated. You want to have a full life. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to enjoy yourself and your relationships, which includes having healthy skin because the skin is the largest organ in your body. And actually, the skin reflects what's going on inside. So not only have we improved your skin, we have added years of quality life.
I'd have to agree.
Thank you. And so we want people to know that over time, these are helpful, that these are required in the 21st century so that we can live well and happy, so we can have travel and enjoy going out and about. And yes, occasionally we can go to a restaurant, but you're right. Most of the time today, I eat whole foods at home.
As do I. But the assault when I go into the city, just for the record, I live on an island in the middle of the bay,
Mhm.
lots of fresh air and everything else. But when I go to the city, San Francisco, or I go other places, uh, I'm assaulted basically. The quality of the air, the quality of the water, the quality of everything that I do. And I here at home, I filter my water, I take care of things. But I know that we all, because we lived in the 20th century, probably have, PFAs, in our system. And
Microplastic, PFAs, glyphosate. There are so many things you may not even understand the chemistry, but I try to. And I want you to be able to reduce your exposure, which you already have done considerably. And I want you to be able to detoxify, bio-detoxify the remainder. You need a healthy liver. You need healthy kidneys. You need healthy spleen. You need healthy organs, hearts, brains. All of these actually interact with each other.
oh, I'm aware we are one body.
A mind body or a mind body spirit. We are all of the above, not to the exclusion, the way, shall I say, the Descartesian mistake, which basically says that life is a watch. You can take it apart and put it back together again.
We are an
Well,
integrated system.
we are. We are a deeply integrated system. And we have taken that apart in the illusion that mechanics is the total answer.
Well, that was the 19th century fallacy of determinism.
And it prevails in Western medicine today. I'm sure you have a better physician who is looking beyond that, but very often doctors say things that, from my point of view, are just outmoded.
I could agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean,
And,
I
and
fought.
we need to train doctors to be more cognizant of these kinds of issues, because I'm very glad for the result that you achieved and many, many others. But very often when I'm talking with colleagues, I really have to start at the beginning of the beginning because they know about pathology. I'm a doubly board certified pathologist. I'm not opposed to pathology, but they don't understand physiology. They don't understand life. If you're going to take care of people, you should be mindful of what's essential to maintain an equilibrium, a balance in life.
Well, one tries to, or at least I endeavor to. and
Well,
other.
I'm so glad to talk to you because I think you will encourage other people to do the same. You live in a wonderful place. You have a wonderful life and relationships and all of that. Yet still, you need some things that are essential, which means we can't make them ourselves. You have to take them in from the outside. And if you take them in safer forms, that's better. And if you take them in the form that is highly processed and manipulated, it actually won't help. It might harm, but it definitely won't help.
Also, there is the issue of bioavailability, and most of your products, which I've really studied, are bioavailable to actually be used in the system and not just excreted as something surplus in a form that can't really be used.
And you're sophisticated enough to be able to do that. Many people might not, but I'm so glad that you investigated for yourself because bioavailability was one of our core principles back in the 1980s when we started our PERQUE company. Because if you are bioavailable, it gets in. If you're not bioavailable, it passes through and may harm your digestion, microbiome, etc. So when I started this company, which is a company, not a hobby, people said to me, no one cares about bioavailability. No one cares about purity. No one cares about efficacy, how effective this is in outcome studies. We took a different path. We felt that it was essential to point out to people what the benefits would be if you combined certain supplements that you needed to benefit you. And yes, it's personal. There's not one size that fits all. There's not one regimen that everyone needs. But if you'll tell me a little bit about yourself, I can tell you probably what you do need. And yes, in a bioavailable form, not just in a cosmetic or superficial form.
No, there is a qualitative difference between what you produce and what is usually available. And that is the truth.
And that's why we've prospered, because enough people are like you that they want results. They want to understand why do we do what we do and how do we do what we do. And the more you're interested, the more we're willing and able to take a deep dive. But if you just want the results, that's okay too.
Russell, you have been driven by this vision of enhanced health and of the holistic being since I've first known you, and that's well over 50 years ago.
Yes, I'm glad to say that we have been friends long enough to know better. And yes, I have been reasonably consistent since my days at NIH, which was a wonderful training ground. But NIH is really focused on symptom reactive care.
Yes.
And physicians like me, colleagues like me, we want to promote good health and avoid symptoms.
Well, which is the goal.
I think it is the goal. I think that preventive medicine is the way medicine should be practiced, and symptom reactive medicine should be reserved for when we don't understand enough to do the proactive part. We want to be healthy. We want to feel and function well. We want to get restorative sleep. We want to be able to enjoy our lives.
You want to be healthy enough so that when you do get a broken leg from falling off your bicycle at some point,
Mm.
that it pairs properly. And so the doctors attending you, the orthopedists, you know, can really look to a good outcome, which would not be the case did you not take care of yourself.
Exactly. And my dad was hit by a car. And the orthopedic surgeon says the good news is your dad's alive. The bad news is he won't walk again. We put him on our protocol, we put him on our program, and 8 weeks later, just 8 weeks after the accident, my dad was out at a driving range because he loved golf. He was at a driving range practicing his swing. And who was in the next bay? The doctor, who looks at him and says, "Are you Sam Jaffe?" And my dad says, "Yep." He says, "How did you get here? Because I didn't think you would ever walk again." And my dad explained, because it was a number of pieces, but my dad explained what he was doing, and the doctor just shook his head and said, "Please continue. Whatever you're doing seems fine, but I don't understand."
Well, it's a natural reaction of someone who's wearing blinders.
In medicine today, unfortunately, we are trained to put on blinders and to look only at the symptoms and how to remove the symptoms. Well, if you relieve suffering, that's a good thing. But if you understand the cause of the suffering and can make it disappear with essential supplements, that's even better. Because not only do you get the benefit of whatever the symptom was that went away, more importantly, the whole body says, thank you.
Is there another question you have for me or anything which I can
Well,
help?
no, no, this has been succinct and delightful. Anything else that you would like to share with others who also want to be well and happy?
Have pets, have a significant other, and keep your mind alive and keep reading and keep doing and don't pay too much attention to the toxic politics of our time. They are important, but don't let them invade your inner being.
Yes, so I want us to live well and happy for a long period of time and be able to therefore observe what's going on around us and how the decisions that we make personally affect our community and more than that, affect society.
I have been delighted to have been one of your long-term outcomes that you can tabulate because long-term outcomes are very important.
And hard to get. You have to be consistent. You pointed out correctly that in 20 minutes it didn't solve the problem, but within a few months it changed your life.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. You can change your life in a few weeks or months, not 20 minutes.
Well,
Not,
unfortunately, people have a span where they're looking at instant gratification and instant realization of whatever their goal is. And the fact is, it does take time because it takes time to turn the ship around in whatever seas you're in. Just takes,
it's taken years to get where you are,
and it takes time to get out of it.
and it takes time to get out of it. Yes, exactly. So I thank you so much for sharing this with us. Um, I have been more than delighted to be your friend for now near half a century, and hopefully we will celebrate together
We'll
another half
continue.
century.
Indeed. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you much. And bye bye. Happy to be of assistance.